All right, y'all. Let's see. I believe we're live.
It says live in the top corner.
It says live at the top corner, but I'm not seeing it on YouTube yet. Let's see if there's maybe just a delay. Okay, yeah, there it is. There it is. We're live. All right, everyone, welcome to Nx Office Hours, our high production event we do every couple of weeks, is to talk about Nx and interact with the community. Hey, Caitlin and Evan. Hey, got some cool familiar faces in here. So Caitlin's our new media person at Narwhal. So Caitlin's great to have you aboard. And Evan's a NX fan that I've talked to on my live stream in the past. So great to see both of y'all. We've got two special guests with us today, Jo Hanna and Ben, both who are working on our Nx Cloud product. Hey, y'all. Do y'all want to introduce yourselves quick before we go any further?
I mean, in what way? I'm senior Angular engineer at Narwhal. I've been with Narwhal for about a year now. It's been a fun ride. It continues to be a fun ride. Actually, not been a fun ride. That's like it's all in the past. Well, I mean, there is something in the past, but. Yeah. And I brought my emotional support Narwhal.
That's really what I was going for, Jo Hanna, is to make sure we got the plushie shown.
Absolutely, so. Misha, the emotional support Narwhal.
Nice, emotional support Narwhal. I like that. And we've got some other Narwhalers in the chat, and Oscar's Angular channel. Hey y'all, thanks for coming by. Ben, do you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do at Narwhal?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ben Cabanes, and I am a Narwhal engineer, and I work for Narwhal for now more than 2 years. Yeah.
More than 2 years. Wow.
More than 2 years. Yeah, I'm the second oldest. If you don't count Victor and Jeff, I'm the second oldest. Like the first one is Jason, actually.
Okay.
But, yeah.
And then it's Jack. You came on before Jack? Okay, cool. I thought Jack was before you, but it's good to know. Good to know the legacy of all this. Yeah. There you go. So Jo Hanna and Ben are both here today because we've got some cool demos to show. Jo Hanna's going to go first. We're going to show off. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, we'll show off.
See if this works.
Yeah. So the Nx Cloud single run view, is that right?
Yeah. No, we're calling it run details now. It was called single run.
Sorry.
Yeah. Single run is actually kind of misleading because in a run you can have more than one task. So yeah. Anyway.
Gotcha.
We can go through it if we let's try this. And I'm not worried about the single run not working. Run details not working. See, we called it single run originally, which is why we can't stop calling it that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that not working. I'm actually just worried about my internet connection not being able to cope with us.
It's holding strong so far. So
the npm install. So let's create a new workspace. So can I remember how to do this?
Could you make your terminal maybe a little bit bigger?
Oh, yeah, probably. Come on, bigger. Just. I don't like the way iTerm does this. Makes the entire thing bigger. No.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God, no. And now you can see everything. Anyway, there we go.
Ooh. It's actually, the screen share is coming in a little odd right now, Jo Hanna. Do you want to try maybe stopping the share and starting it up again?
Oh, that is weird. I think there's a big delay.
Oh, okay.
Let me stop that and start again.
Alrighty.
Okay, stop screen. No, stop. This is great. I love technology. Right, try again. 2. Yes, go for it.
All right, let's try this again. All right, that looks better. We can see what's going on now.
Okay. So what we're going to do, let's create, oops, I wasn't selected on the right thing, and it went away. Right, okay, there we are. Let's create an Angular application. Woo. This could be anything, actually. It doesn't really matter. In fact, we could do a React application. Not done one of those.
Let's do the Angular one. So, because I think if we do Angular, then I know we'll get the ESLint one. I'm not actually sure if we'll get it with React yet or not.
That's a good point. To-dos. Are we actually getting this? Oh, it's not really updating very quickly, is it?
No, it's not. Maybe. I mean, we could keep trying this, Jo Hanna, but maybe we could just go with the sharing the article instead that you wrote. Do you want to try to do that?
Sure.
Let's do that.
I just. Do you want to share it actually?
Yeah, I'll share my screen. So
I think my upload speed is probably not fast enough for this.
Yeah, that's fine. There we go. Well, let me make this a little bit bigger. Introducing run details.
There we go. Yeah. So cool. This is a sort of hypothetical, conversation between two colleagues, two remote working colleagues. So someone's got failing tests again, but they're in conversation with somebody that can help them. They're like, well, yeah, okay, so I've got these failing tests, but I can't share the console output with you, and the buffer of my console isn't long enough, and I've lost everything that's been output. So what do you do? What do you do in that situation? If it's on CI, you've got options. You can share a Circle CI link with someone. That's easy. But what about running it locally? Well, okay. What we can do is we can connect to Nx Cloud. So yeah, we've added this new argument, --scan. Yeah, pass it to any Nx commands. I don't really want to just read this because you can read it yourself. It feels a bit redundant. The demo would have been much better, but it would look very similar to this. So,
well, if Jo Hanna, do you want me to maybe just do my own terminal here? We can maybe do that.
Yeah, sure.
Let's see if I can pull one up real quick. You can just walk me through.
Works. Prove that it works.
Prove that it works, exactly. Let's make this as big as I can. I'll switch to it. All right, let's see. Let's see if this is working. Here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to do create Nx workspace at latest. I think that'll get us there. And we're downloading stuff. And workspace name, like you said, we'll go with to-dos and we'll make an Angular app. I'll call this to-dos as well.
Yeah, that's why I usually call the workspace just Wibble or something.
I like that. I noticed that too. Okay, and here's the new little helpful piece. You can choose your linter now when running create Nx workspace. So we'll use ESLint because it's not deprecated.
And that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And we'll say yes for using Nx Cloud. I think this is going to.
We should talk a little bit of Nx Cloud before and what's the runs.
Oh, what was that, Ben?
Maybe we should talk about Nx Cloud before and what is a run like inside Nx Cloud, because it will help people understand.
Yeah, I mean, what a run is, maybe isn't immediately obvious. A run is basically any command line Nx command that you would run. Something like Nx run many, Nx affected. I think anything that actually under the covers does run command, but I'm not sure how many of the commands we actually cover. Either of you know Definitely run many unaffected, but I mean, obviously anything that runs a target. I think
exactly. Basically, because you can always add your own target that you created, like you build linked server or serve if you want. But you can always add more. But maybe we can talk about Nx Cloud and the fact that this is a computation caching, and the fact that it helps for analytics on your runs, or on the number of commands that you run, and the timing of all the runs, and how much time it takes to actually run a command. And the fact that this is a computation caching, we are caching the result of all your runs. So all the commands that you basically entered. So when there is a result that is exactly the same as before, when the code that is a target of the command that you just run has already been computed, you will get the cache directly. So it will like increase not exponentially, but like really like a lot.
Sure, exponentially. Let them prove it. Let them disprove it.
Yeah. Well, so the local cache and the distributed cache, the way I like to describe it is like a history, like a history index against sort of like the source code that you're running these build targets against. Like ideally you should never have to rerun things twice for the same source code. Like there's no reason to build something you've built in the past. And taking that to the distributed piece, there's no need to rerun for me to rerun a build if Ben's already run it with the same exact code.
Yeah, but, exactly. Because we are with the distributed version, we are sharing the cache essentially. So if I run something that like I'm building a library A, and so I build it, there is no cache. I create the cache, I upload it into the cloud, so Nx Cloud. And when Zach wants to build the same library that I just built, he can get it from the cache, and voila. He won't have to compute the library on his machine. He will directly download the cache from the cloud. Yeah. And then you have also the CI performance that is improved, because if you run your build targets on local, you will upload them to the cache, to the cloud, and then your CI, since nothing has changed, the CI will download the cache from the cloud, and you will retrieve the same result, and it will speed up your CI.
Yeah.
So that's the gist of Nx Cloud. And now the runs are basically what commands what are the commands that you executed during that specific CI process. I think that's a way to put it. And you can have like this is a group of runs.
We haven't done run group yet. That's going to be a whole other thing, but I suppose you've done that for the GitHub integration though. We're getting ahead of ourselves with that.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, so by running, if we go back to when we were going through the commands line options, when we ran create workspace, remember we selected Nx Cloud for our runner, and what that actually did was set the Nx Cloud as our runner, and it generated an access token for us, and just by default put some stuff in here for being able to track analytics, so usage warnings and cacheable operations.
Yeah. The reason I wanted this to be shown actually is because you can see the cacheable operations prop there, which shows that we're actually caching the build, test, lint, and E2E.
Right.
And you can always add more to that.
Yeah.
Because like if for example you are doing pre-rendering with Universal, you can have a target that is called server, for that pre-rendering thing, and you can put it like server inside the cacheable operation, and it will the result of the command will be uploaded or downloaded from or to Nx Cloud.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Jo Hanna, did you want me to run like a build on our app with the scan option on there? Is that where we were at in the article?
Let's do. It's probably more interesting actually just to run a. It doesn't really matter, but to run a test.
Okay.
There should be. Is there going to be a test? I forget if we actually generate one.
Yeah, we should have some default test.
I think so. Let's see. So I would just do nx test to dos, and should I add scan now? Like so.
Yep. Yeah, you can.
Actually, we don't need to because you've. I mean, if you want the command line output, so this is the difference. Because we've already enabled Nx Cloud, you don't strictly need to add the scan property unless you want us to cache your command line output.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
So do it without to begin with, just to see what it looks like.
Let's do that.
Also, can you just scroll down your nx.json?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. That's good.
Yeah, there we go. So at the bottom there, you've got a Nx Cloud see run details at, and now you can click on that and see your run detail view.
So this was the browser that opened up when I did this, and I think this is. Let's see.
Just refresh the browser. Just refresh it.
Sorry. There it is. There we go. Okay,
I've seen that really intermittently, and that's really annoying that it happens now.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that later. But because we just generated this with Nx Cloud, let me make it a little bit bigger so we can all see. So I could claim this workspace. I'm already logged into Nx Cloud because I'm an Nrwal guy. So I could claim this workspace as my own. We could kind of do stuff that way. But I think the big thing to see here is we didn't use scan. So this is the information we have available. We still see it succeeded. And we still see there was a cast mish. So we actually ran this. We didn't actually just pull it down. But I think now if I can do the same one, just run it with scan.
Yeah, and we'll expect this one to be a cache hit.
Right.
And we'll also expect that command line output to be in the run detail.
Mm-hmm. So now I get a new link. I'll follow this one. And it opens up in a new window over here. So I'll just bring it over. And yeah, so now same thing. But this time we can see this means it was a cache hit. So we didn't actually run it. We just ran it from our local cache. And this shows all of the different tests we ran, which is awesome. Yeah.
Now that's currently looks a little bit. I'm going to point out all the flaws with this, but I mean that currently looks a little bit weird because one of the things that Jest does when you run the tests is that it will update command line. It will go back and rewrite lines, but what we're actually seeing there is each of the rewrites on a separate line. Just why you've got runs and then because each of those should say pass. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like when it's actually running in the terminal, it's like erasing the previous line and overwriting it. Okay, so that's why we see this over and over again. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
future development work.
Yeah, but this is still nice. This is still nice to be able to see. So very cool there. Was there more to the demo that you wanted to show here, Jo Hanna? Or
there was actually, but because what you could have done actually to begin with is you can create a workspace without connecting it to Nx Cloud.
Do we want to try that?
Have you got time to do that?
Let's see. Let's see what we can do. Let's go over to our terminal. Just checking the time. So let's go up a level and rerun this.
And now you can name this one Wibble. That'll be fine.
Wibble. There we go. And this way I won't name clash with my other to-do apps I have.
Exactly.
Wibble. There we go. Still Angular?
Create a React one. Why not make a difference?
There we go. The application name is still to-dos though, I believe. We're just using Sass. And we want to select no.
We want no. Yeah.
Got it.
La, la, la. We need some like elevator hold music.
Just install the packages. It's nice when you're making a video on this stuff because you can just kind of like fast forward through the installing part.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to ask Jeff to create a new music for you.
I know. Some nice elevator music. Maybe with some pigs involved.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Well, while that's going, let me open up VS Code. Okay, packages just installed. Let me open up my VS Code to the right project here so we can look around in there.
It's not going to exist yet, is it?
I think it will. Well, maybe not. No, I see it.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know what it did though. Hang on. We'll go open Wibble. There's Wibble. All right, it's here. I think at this point, I think all we're doing is installing the node modules. So
yeah.
Okay,
It's good.
and there it goes.
Good job we didn't do this on my connection because mine is obviously a lot slower than yours.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. And
so if you look on the if you look at the output, actually, it should say on the terminal. So we haven't got the Nx Cloud output this time. Yeah. So if we go back to the terminal again, we run nx test to-dos, and then this time add the -- scan.
Okay. So over here, we're gonna open.
So you can do that in the terminal, or you can do that there, wherever.
Yeah. Nx test to-dos.
Add this. Add the.
Sorry.
Add the scan.
Add the scan.
But I mean, what you could actually do now is.
I see.
It's too late now. I was going to say you could actually just run it and just show that we do cache that anyway, but we cache it locally.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, now that we had that, now we know that we haven't installed Nx Cloud. So we go, wow, scan requires that workspace be connected to Nx Cloud. Do you want us to do that? Obviously, the answer is yes.
Yes, obviously. There we go. I believe this will do probably the same thing, the same changes we saw in our other workspace, right? Just not all up front. So
yeah, exactly.
Cool. Do I need to press anything else? I believe. Oh, okay. It's probably just taking a little bit of time.
No, because it needs to go and fetch the Nx Cloud package.
Gotcha.
That's why this.
All right, and there it is.
And there we go. Yep, there's your run detail.
Yeah, and it opens it 2 screens away again. But there we go. There's our run details on the cloud. Very cool.
Okay.
Interesting that this was a cache miss, actually.
That is interesting, actually. I suspect that's because we're including -- scan in the arguments list.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Which, well, it kind of doesn't.
Oh, no, yeah, because the previous one we ran it without scan the first time, and the second time when we ran it with scan, it did result in a cache hit. I wonder if it's because we touched the NX JSON file in the interim. Because we literally changed this NX JSON file.
Oh, yes, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, that would be it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sure Victor wouldn't have been daft enough to actually include scan in the arguments, because that would have been silly.
Yeah. Cool beans.
Yeah, and there is also because of runtime inputs, because sometimes you can have cache miss because of your node variables are not the same, like for example in your CI and in your local. So that can also be why you will also have cache miss.
Right.
We do actually have a thing on run details. If you actually go back and look at that that page, I don't know if it will show it on that.
I think this is.
If you expand that,
yeah.
the task.
The task here.
Oh, okay. Oh, it didn't pick it up. there is a feature that we've added to this, which is called near misses, which is good for debugging situations a bit like this, where you've got a cache miss, but you're not entirely sure why, because you think it should be a cache hit.
Yeah.
And we'll calculate the nearest cache hit, but it probably would have had to have been in Nx Cloud actually.
Yeah.
That's why. Because that first cache hit would have been locally, but didn't exist in Nx Cloud. But so if there is a related cache hit in Nx Cloud, we'll go, hey, this is one that it was very similar to. These are the differences.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. On a similar note, I just noticed a question we have here. Is there any input or issue with distributed cache if I run test or build on Windows and my colleague is using Mac? I don't believe there's issues between the different environments. I know we have people on our team that work on Mac and Linux and Windows, and I feel like we've been able to share our cache hits between each other with the cloud. So
I think the only difference I can think of would be if there's any difference in the way the output is formatted between Windows and Mac. You might see something different, but the actual command itself would be identical.
Yeah. And also, we have a question here from Ewan Kane. How does NX know when to clear the cache or into the command for real? So we talked about this a little bit, and I'm a little fuzzy on the details, but my general mental model is we're going to look at sort of the source code and the dependencies for whatever target we're running, and we're going to like hash those together into like some big long string and check for hits on that. So if it hits, we'll check local, I think, first, and then we'll check the cloud. And if there's no hits on that hash, that's when we'll actually run the command for real. So is that?
So yeah. So basically, if you change something, your cache is invalidated because it will change the hash, and there is a new hash that is coming up. So you won't hit the cache.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, it combines the arguments, the command and the arguments that you pass in with the state of the file system.
Cool beans. All right, Ben, do you want to? Well, first, Jo Hanna, is there any more to this demo? I think we've hit most of the things now. Was there anything else you wanted to show off?
We'll probably get to them with Ben's demo. Actually, it would have been nice to actually show that you can obviously filter the projects, the tasks rather, because the real interesting thing about run details is that you can have multiple tasks within each run. Say you do something like nx, run many, target equals test -- all. Running all tests in your repo, then you get a little expandable thing for each one, and you can filter them down, and you can show only cache hits or cache misses or failures or successes.
Cool. Well, Ben, do you want to start sharing your screen, and we'll look into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to show something. Also, because we have documentation about what is the computation caching, what it means, and how to configure Nx Cloud on the nx.dev website. So you have like all the argument. We talk about those like quickly, but if you want to go deep inside those subjects, there is like some documentation on that. Like, for example, we talked about the cacheable operation, and we talk about the runtime cache input also. And there is more to do. Like, for example, if you want to be sure that you're not eating the cache, absolutely, you can, here you can add that argument to your command, and it will not will not be called, you will not hit the cache, for sure. And some example and some schemas and everything. So we have already some documentation about that. So if you're curious, you can check it out.
Yeah, and I linked. I added the link to what Ben's showing right now on screen to the chat, so you can check that out too, and read through it yourself if you like. Evan also mentions one thing I noticed in my own project: making changes to root level files like tailwind config or custom webpack config doesn't break the cache, so you have to run skip, not using the cloud. And that, like Ben showed, that's a good use case where you'd use that skip cache option on your commands there.
Yeah.
So.
One question would be to like are those custom files or for Tailwind part of the affected? I don't remember the name.
The implicit dependencies.
Implicit dependencies on Nx.json.
Yeah, it's on screen now actually.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
If you've got files like that where you should be rebuilding everything, stick them in your implicit dependencies.
Yeah. So if you change something on Tailwind or other configuration and it's not here, Nx will not be able to detect that you changed something and will not be able to perform all the things that you want it to perform.
Cool. So like if there's, I'm not super familiar with Tailwind, but I imagine there's like some config file here. We could just add this to the implicit dependencies with a star, because we really need to rebuild everything if we change that config.
I'm not familiar with Tailwind also, but let's say, for example, you're using Firebase, so you have your Firebase.json for all the configuration for hosting and all the Firebase configuration, basically. By default, that file is not known by Nx. So there is no way that Nx can know about that file. So you have to put it inside the implicit dependencies. So when you change your Firebase.json, because it will affect basically all your like the hosting or any other configuration, it will affect your package or repository as a whole. And so by putting it here inside the implicit dependency, you will be able to tell that, by the way, Nx, I changed that file, so you have to account for that when you will do the affected, which is basically saying that if I change that file, all the projects will need to be run again.
Makes sense.
It would be really interesting to actually demo the depth graph with that, because if you're unsure of what sort of graph you've created, then you can just run the depth graph and it will show you.
Yeah.
And of course it takes into account things like implicit dependencies.
Yep.
So also on Nx.dev, we also have some documentation specifically about the implicit dependencies. So yeah, you can check it out.
Yeah, it's really cool to see when you add something as an implicit dependencies. I do it sometimes for my end-to-end tests that are running against a front end and a back end app. You can tie that implicit dependency between both of them, and it's kind of cool to see that little line get drawn on the depth graph. So, yeah, cool. So yeah, check out implicit dependencies if you want to learn more on that in our nx.dev. So cool.
Okay. Next up is the official Nx Cloud app, the GitHub integration for Nx Cloud. Yoo-hoo! So basically, what that application is doing is all that you already saw with this, Nx Cloud representation of your run, like for example the test that we just ran. You have to go to Nx.Cloud. But if you don't want to go to Nx.Cloud, you can have that on each of your PR and have like a little summary of all the things in Nx Cloud inside a comment on your PR like this. So this is essentially taking all the information, well, not all, but the main information that you should care, and put it like this on directly on your PR. And this is, each link is clickable, so you will be able to go to the Nx Cloud at the right run for that specific commit that you just pushed. So we have that application inside the GitHub Marketplace. So I believe that if you go on the Marketplace and look for Nx Cloud, yep, you should see it. And then you should be able to install it for free. So I already have some repository here, but basically, click on install it for free, and you select your repository or your org, and that's pretty much it. We installed it on Nx, the main repository, and here I have the issue, so I shouldn't be on the issue list, but I should be on the pull request, so I can show you what it is about. So let's refresh a little bit. Okay. Let's go to this PR from Adrian. I hope I pronounce it the right way. So basically, Adrian changed some bunch of code in some the documentation here, and this has been picked up by the Nx Cloud. So basically, what it's doing is this, we have a SQL CI integration on Nx, on the repository. And that CI integration is running all the end-to-end tests, the tests, the build, and everything that we needed to do. And we also installed that application on the repository. So you can see that there is an Nx Cloud check here. And that Nx Cloud check will appear once the CI process is done, basically. Once all the builds and all the commands that Nx Cloud is watching are done, so the results have been uploaded to Nx Cloud. And then once Nx Cloud has all that information, it is able to send back all that information into the Nx Cloud GitHub integration, and then we create a comment with all that information. So you can see that everything like passed. You can have, you will see in the first sentence here, the commit, the last commit that is related to that specific run, or that specific, for that specific code. So yeah, that's the last commit here. You can see the start time here, and you will have all the, Jo Hanna mentioned it before, you will see that all those commands, like the run many, they all are for different targets, basically. So if I click here, I am inside the run detail for that specific PR, for that specific commit. And I can see how I hit the cache, the success hit here for that specific command. And this is the output that Nx Cloud is giving me. And we can see that the cache that uses remote cache hit. So this is why we have that small arrow here in green. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, what you can do is how to install it. So as I mentioned before, you go to the marketplace and then you click on the install it for free. And cool thing, normally you should provision your CI to add those Nx branch and Nx run group environment variable. But if you are working with Travis CI or SQL CI, we do it for you. So you don't have to do anything. You only need to install it on your repository and boom, done, finished.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's really cool.
So pretty much click a button and you get really cool detailed reports on all of your CI process and all your PRs.
Yeah,
That's
but first you need to have your workspace with NX and set up an Nx Cloud.
yeah. So you can't get this without NX or with Nx Cloud. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, it's more incentive to come to the cool side where we have all the cool tools.
yeah.
Speaking of which, I want to because we're getting kind of far into the broadcast. I want to make sure because Sparker Barker has been waiting patiently for this comment to get addressed. I want to make sure we at least talked about it a little bit now that we're talking about the cool side of things. So asking for some guidance on moving a project from Lerna to NX, especially repos that have many published packages. I believe that's supposed to be. So we actually work with our when we get contracted out. I've been in a couple projects now where the repo started out as Lerna and then has changed to NX, and so it's something we see quite a bit. And I see a lot of the times the migration is kind of a slow one. So like most of the ones we're on, it tends to be migrations from AngularJS to Angular. So the pattern I've seen is usually they start out with Lerna and AngularJS and they want to go to NX and Angular. And so usually the AngularJS stuff kind of stays in Lerna, which is what it is. But so migrating to NX in that case looks like pretty much bringing in the builders, bringing in the nx.json file, and being able to run all the Narwhal NX builders and runners, and you're able to even integrate Nx Cloud at that point to be able to have that kind of integration. And so with NX publishable libraries now. You have the ability to take libraries inside of NX and publish them on npm or onto your private version, your private package manager. And I think Ben, I think you had sent me this link here. Let me see if I can show this because Victor had wrote an article on the subject here. So I'm sharing that now. Let me paste the link into our comments so people can look at that more. I think this gives some more information on the motivations for going from Lerna to NX, and also some of I think it gets into some details of it, right?
Yeah. Also, we have publishable libraries. So once you've done that, you're able to create a special pipeline in your CI to publish those libraries into npm or an Artifactory or whatever.
Right. Yeah, and I think we have some fresh documentation on publishable and buildable libraries on nx.dev as well. So you can check out nx.dev for that. And I know because I worked on them with Yuri, so it's always fun. But yeah. Ben, did I interrupt you? Was there anything more you wanted to share with the Nx Cloud GitHub plugin?
Not really. The only thing that you need to know is that the application is available on the GitHub Marketplace, and if you have any problem or question on how to set up, there is the Getting Started introduction on the description with like example on how to set it up on Azure, on GitHub Actions. That's pretty much it. We also have some more detailed, not documentation, but article explaining how it works, basically, on the blog. So, and those links are on the description of the application itself. And that's if you install the application and the application doesn't detect Nx Cloud or anything, it will create a comment saying, hey, I can't find any run for that specific PR, so make sure to configure it properly, and you will have a link for the getting started.
Good deal. Thank you, Ben. Yeah, the views on NX Cloud and the GitHub integrations are all awesome. And I don't know. I feel lucky to work with y'all and work with the team and just be able to have all this cool stuff. Being on Narwhal, you kind of get it firsthand. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Nx Cloud is pretty game changing like in the industry. I think this is really something that is coming up. Like this will be like the default in few months or next year.
For sure. Yeah. Like we saw when we just ran the Create NX workspace, like it was already integrated there with Nx Cloud. We didn't really have to do anything, and so just that ease of hooking that up, and we're getting most of the benefit you would have gotten if you had gone to like a Bazel build, right?
Yeah, but this is simpler because you don't have to do anything, and the configuration is already done once you install and set up your workspace. So
exactly.
that's
yeah, we're really aiming for zero
Bazel
conflict.
without the hassle.
It's so much easier. Yeah. Bazel is way too complicated. I mean, I'm sure it's great
the
for
problem with
some use
Bazel
cases,
is that
but
you need to have a dedicated team that do only Bazel for your company, and need to maintain that. With NX and NX Cloud, you don't have to do this. You just say yes to the question to use NX Cloud, and that's all.
Very cool. So let's see. I think we had some more questions. Jo Hanna, I think you had addressed this one in chat already. I think we're getting an echo.
yeah,
there is an echo, right?
Yeah, I think Jo Hanna, it might be because your mic's open. No, I don't know. It's not happening anymore.
It's probably me.
Sorry. Well, yeah, we'll work through it. So 3Ham says they're introducing NX to their company. We've got some custom schematics. Nice. I like the sound of a lot of this stuff. Is there any way to filter out the list of built-in schematics so people don't have to guess which ones to use? And Johanna says you can use NX list to filter out the built-in schematics, but I don't think we currently have include workspace schematics. Okay, cool. So kind of the difference between a workspace schematic and a schematic is workspace schematics kind of remove a lot of the steps for you and make them kind of nicer to work with that way. So like you don't have to run the build step. You can just write the code for your schematic and let NX take care of that piece of it for you. So yeah, I'm not sure. So it sounds like this is almost, is this part of like the NX console, the list you would see there when you click on the schematics? I don't know.
Sorry, what, NX list?
Yeah. Well, let me show you what I was.
NX list is a command line thing. Didn't you do the refactoring of NX list?
What's that? No.
Didn't you refactor it? Anyway, I mean, if you want to share the command line, you can always just sort of show it briefly.
Yeah. So, this was our Wibble project, Johanna. Did you want to show? Like,
yeah, I mean, just do NX list.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
This will show all of the installed plugins we have. So these are the ones we currently have installed in our workspace. These are the official Narwhal ones available here. So you'll see we're not using this because we went with the React option. So we're not using Angular, for example, or Bazel or Express or any of these. And then here are all the community ones available as well. So
yeah, and all the ones also available and community they're not currently installed. But if you do, so if you look at the ones that are installed, which would be, yeah, so look at, do NX list Narwhal Cypress.
Narwhal Cypress.
And there you go. So it shows you there's one builder for Cypress and there's two schematics. One is the init schematic and the other is the Cypress project.
Right. So
and you can do this for anything that's installed currently.
Right. I was maybe thinking, I was misunderstanding the question. I thought the question was about, like, there was a schematic maybe for building, say, an Angular component, but they have a different way of scaffolding it, so they want to make sure people are using their custom schematic for building that
Oh, you mean if so rather than I mean, so it depends what you mean by filter, I guess. Then.
Yeah. So I was thinking, well, when you click, if you're using the NX console plugin like I'm doing here, and you click generate, this will show you all the schematics we have available based on the plugins we have. And there's, I was just thinking, well, there's not really a way to filter this list until you start typing. So if you want to get to just React plugins, you can do that way, or starting with a package name. Just if you just want to use Narwhal ones, you can do them here. I believe the custom schematics will actually show up in this list here too. So maybe if there's some naming convention you could do and just make sure everyone in your organization knows to use that naming convention when running a schematic. Yeah. So
yeah, that's fairly common. Yeah.
Cool. We have a question on NX11. I know we are targeting that to get that to go out in sync with Angular 11 as best we can. I think we usually hit it by a couple days. So I know there's that. I know there's Webpack stuff going on with Angular going to, I think, Webpack 5. And I'm not sure what all NX is taking on for that yet, actually. So maybe we can make sure to let Brandon know to ask about that for next time, for our next office hours.
I know there is a lot of focus on fixing bugs as well. So to make it more stable and having more feature for the next versions. But yeah, it will come soon.
Cool. Sounds great. Let's see, how are we doing on time? We still got a few minutes here. 3Hams, I think, is responding to us addressing his question. So I think the naming conventions may be best for this. I don't think you'd want to, like, you could technically like uninstall the plugin, but I don't think you'd want to do that if you have like the Angular one. So yeah. I don't know. That's an interesting problem to see, though. So probably using the naming conventions for now would be the way to go until you have.
Well, I mean, there's kind of a training problem there as well, because so let's say if you start with the default Angular workspace, you've then got two library schematics. You've got an Angular library schematic, and you've got a workspace library schematic, but they have different uses. And the Angular library schematic is a subset, superset. One of the, it's derived from the workspace schematic. So everything that workspace library schematic does, the Angular library schematic also does. But you wouldn't use the Angular library schematic for something as simple as, say, a model library, because you don't need the Angular module in that. But obviously, if you want the Angular module, use the Angular library schematic.
Makes sense. I went out and grabbed a few questions from Twitter. So let me see if I can find that to show on screen here. So this is from @Tynesoft, and they write, "Hey, NXDev users, does anyone know how to make console log, or I think this was just supposed to be context log or info statements, appear when running tests through either NX tests or NX E2E?" And I think it got cut off, but I think the rest of this was like help appreciated or something like that. So I'll leave that up here for now. I think normally for our tests, you should be able to see console logs, whether it's in your source code or in the actual test. So you should be able to see that. If you're not seeing it, I think it's probably a matter of your log level being set too high for your tests. I think like Jest and Cypress both have different configuration for that. So looking into the config to adjust those could be one option. If you're just looking for it because you're wanting to just debug something temporarily, but you don't want that to be long running, or you don't actually want to change your config, you could also just use, like, I think console error is the highest level of logging. So you could just use that, and then you should be able to see it regardless of what your log setting is set to. So
also sometimes you have a lot of Like you're running the multiple targets for multiple libraries, for example, and you don't see your log because there is too much inside your console. There is too much log basically inside your console. So make sure that you target directly the library that has your test with the console log, and only focus on that specific test. It will help you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
there is one thing you can check, which has tripped me up before. Check that you're not spying on console log, and that you haven't got a mock implementation that just does nothing.
Because you want to spy on it.
Yeah,
that's really neat, actually.
Yeah. Well, that's evil.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as Guillaume, I'm going to butcher this name. Guillaume, is that right? Guillaume. Okay. Maybe this hits to it a little bit. But
I've never pronounced it like
debugger, this. Using a proper debugger rather than using console log statements may be worth investing some time into figuring out too. So,
and you can do that with Nx too.
Yeah.
Because we have the support for VS Code, and you can put a debugger right in front the code that you want to debug. Supported.
And just grabbing another question from Twitter here before we sign off, from D Prophecy Guy. Is it possible to update old NX workspace tools with new ones?
So I'm not sure to understand that question.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to only update the tools, or do you want to update the workspace as well? Because if you want to update everything, you just run NX update, but if you just want the tools, it won't work because you need to have the latest build, the latest library builders for NX to run the latest tools.
It does depend on how old you're talking about as well.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about the old NX tools, which were actually different npm packages, then I mean, technically yes, but you'd be installing new packages.
Right. Well, so there's it was between 7 and 8. We actually changed like the name of a lot of our packages, and there's actually a specific document specifically for that use case of migrating from 7 to 8 to address what Jo Hanna's speaking to. But yeah,
there are some problems with NX migrate. If you ever come across that around, I think it's around 8 to anything higher, but there are ways to get around that. They tend to involve. I mean, you could do an entire episode on that, but it's basically install the package first and then tell it what you want to upgrade from and then to, and the newly installed package will actually understand what you mean. So it's doable. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. I think my kids are in the other room there. Can you all hear them?
Yeah.
Sorry. This is problems with working at home. But yeah, I think that was most of the questions we had seen. I think maybe one more here from Sergio. I have an NX project with lots of libs and storybooks. Is there a good way to set up only one storybook with all storybooks inside it? So I imagine like all the libs, one storybook to rule them all. Is that?
Yeah. So I need that feature too, but I know that Yuri is working on that. I think Katerina as well. They just finished to implement the new version of Storybook, which is the version 6, right? So now I know that they want to do it, but when I don't know when it would be available.
Yeah. I wouldn't be like.
Oh, you're lagged. Or is it me?
It's not just you.
Okay.
I've lost Zach entirely.
Yeah, Zach, we can't hear you anymore.
Just enjoy the silence from that.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
Okay.
Who's in control of this thing now?
we have a problem here.
Oh no!
Oh, you'll come back.
Hey.
Cool.
On my screen, it looks like I've been here the whole time, and I've heard y'all. I've been yelling at y'all, trying to get you to acknowledge me. But sorry about that. Sorry for all of y'all missing too. So the one idea I had for the storybook problem was to maybe, if you really just wanted one storybook to rule them all, and you didn't want to wait for Yuri and Katerina to figure out the improved storybook integration in the future, I think you could do something where you had one lib that imported all of your other libs and then ran the storybook schematic on that one. That would work, but it has the unfortunate piece of now you've added a new node in your dependency graph that doesn't make sense aside from you know that storybook thing. So
this is a temporary solution.
Brandon, all I do is power through. You know that. So that's a good note to end on before I disappear again. Thanks everyone for coming by to NX office hours. Jo Hanna, Ben, thank you so much for showing us your demos and helping answer questions. So this was awesome. Next time I think we'll do another one in another 2 weeks, and Brandon will be leading that one. So Brandon, you keep just doing your thing, man. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks everyone.
See you. Bye-bye.